London, the autumn of 1888. In the poorest district of the world of its day, the bodies of dead women begin to appear in the dark. 5 victims, 10 weeks, and a killer who left them cut with such precision that some doctors said it aloud. This was no butcher. This was someone who knew how to operate. At the time, there was no name for it. He left behind not a single name, no fingerprint, no face. His name will come from the newspapers, and it will outlive everyone who hunted him. Jack the Ripper. 130 years on, it is still the most famous unsolved case in the world. A file with everything in it. A poor barber, a mad doctor, even someone from the royal palace. And yet no one. To understand how he could vanish without a trace, you first have to see where he hunted. Whitechapel, the East End, one of the poorest districts in the world of its day. 250,000 people are crammed into a few streets. Whole families in a single room, the sick beside the dead. Those who cannot pay rent pay 4p for a bed for one night. Those who cannot pay even that walk the streets till dawn. And those were the ones outside. Gas lamps light the streets. Between them is darkness, and from the maze of courts and passages you can vanish in seconds. The 31st of August, Bucks Row. Mary Ann Nichols, 43, the first of 5. A week later, a yard on Hanbury Street. Annie Chapman, 47. This time, part of the body is gone. The surgeon at the inquest writes that it took someone with anatomical knowledge. Then comes a night London had never seen. One night, 2 victims. They call it the double event. First, Elizabeth Stride. With her, he stopped halfway. He was most likely disturbed. And so, that same night, a little further on, he kills again. Catherine Eddowes. Here he takes a kidney. Fast in the dark. Some doctors will say it could not be done without practice. Nearby, a chalk line about the Jews appears on a wall. Commissioner Warren has it wiped away before anyone can photograph it. He feared a pogrom. What it actually said is disputed to this day. And then, the 9th of November, the worst of all, Mary Jane Kelly, the only one to die indoors in her own room. For the first time, the killer had time and privacy. For a long time, they were spoken of only as 5 prostitutes, but that was not the whole truth of them. The historian Hallie Rubenhold showed they were above all poor women with no roof over their heads. They slept outside because they had nowhere to go. They had names, they had children, they had lives. And while London was afraid, someone began to write letters. On the 25th of September, a letter reaches a news agency, mocking, confident, and for the first time signed, Jack the Ripper. Days later, a postcard arrives, and then an envelope headed with 2 words, "From hell." Inside, a piece of a human kidney. Most of those letters are today considered hoaxes, most likely written by a journalist to keep the panic on the front page. And this is exactly where it happens. An unknown killer becomes a character, almost a brand, a name that sells newspapers. The hunt is led by Inspector Frederick Aberline. He knows the district better than anyone, and still, he has almost nothing. The police of 1888 have no fingerprints, no blood types, no cameras, only feet and questions. They question thousands, they patrol, they even bring in police dogs. The dogs get lost in the fog. That autumn, Commissioner Warren resigns, and then, as suddenly as it began, it ends. After Kelly, there are no more victims, no arrest, no explanation. So who was he? In 130 years, dozens of names have piled up, and 3 theories that never died. The first, the killer was a doctor. The precision of the wounds, the missing organ, the speed in the dark. There was talk of a surgeon, a butcher, a medical student taking souvenirs home. Experts still disagree. Some doctors of the time insisted the killer had anatomical knowledge. Others denied it. Even this trail is not certain. The second name is the opposite, Aaron Kosminski, a poor Polish barber suspected even by the detectives of the day. In 2014, DNA from a shawl said to belong to one of the victims was meant to convict Kosminski, but scientists tore the evidence apart. The shawl had passed through many hands over a century. The test did not hold. The third name, Montague Druitt, a barrister who drowned himself in the Thames soon after the last murder. The evidence, almost none, only the strange coincidence of timing. And then there is the theory you know from the films, the boldest of them all. They say the royal court was behind it all, a prince's secret marriage, the Queen's own physician sent to silence the witnesses, and Freemasons who covered the whole thing up. It would even explain the wiped line on the wall and why no one ever solved it. It is a perfect story. Too perfect, historians debunked it, and the man who set the story spinning finally admitted he had invented it. It is fiction, and still it persists. Because the truth is uncomfortable, the killer was most likely nobody, an ordinary man from this district who sank back into the crowd like a stone into a river. Jack the Ripper was not the first killer in history. He was the first the whole world watched. The first media monster. He was not made by the blade alone. He was made by the front pages, and we are still doing it today. The file is still open, 5 names, no perpetrator, and a name that belongs to no one and so belongs forever to the dark. That was the second open file. If you want us to open another, subscribe, and tell us in the comments whose case we should open next.